We might have to film it a few times. We don't know.
Well, we can just go back over it, and if that's the whole point of the podcast, isn't it? You don't need to start with perfection, do you?
Yeah.
Should we use that as the intro?
Yeah.
Hi guys, it's Harry and Hugo here from Fitness Studio 46, and today we're coming to you guys in a slightly new format. This is something that we've been talking about for a little while, something that we wanted to try, which is just a longer form conversation. We're calling it the Progression Podcast, and ironically, it is not a podcast, although one day we hope it to be, which is exactly sort of the point of what we're trying to do here. So Hugo, can you just explain a little bit more, or we'll start talking a little bit more about the concept of why we're doing this, the concept of progression, not perfection.
I say recently we've been going over with our clients quite a lot, haven't we, about progression, not perfection. I think it's easy to get bogged down with, especially with training, with trying to get everything perfect, like training perfect, nutrition perfect, but a lot of the time that's not feasible. It's not a possible.
Exactly, and like, you know, it's even putting together videos like this.
Yeah.
You know, they're never perfect, and you know, I've made a lot of videos over the years, and I'm a perfectionist really, as you know.
Yeah.
So my videos were always heavily cropped. Like a 60-second video on Instagram would be 13 minutes of raw footage, because I'd have to get the sentence to flow exactly perfectly. I'd go back and review it in between and feed it through to what I was trying to say. So I made sure my point was perfect. But there is no such thing as constant perfection in life.
And I don't think people always just like to see constant perfection all the time as well.
No, they don't. And that you know what, social media is that, isn't it? Because you see like people's feeds, and you see perfectly like angled photographs, you see perfect, everyone just puts the highlights up, and you never really see like the process or the mistakes or even the thought process behind it, because we're always looking at like finished products. And therefore, you know, that's why we're putting together this in a more real format, so you guys get to see more like the thought process behind how these conversations go. These are conversations we have daily, conversations we have with clients, trying to set realistic expectations to a large extent, because all we're fed day in, day out is perfection, and everyone's talking about what's optimal, what's perfect, and that's not always achievable.
No. And I think even with this podcast, like, we'll probably mess up with our sentences, say stuff wrong, but then that's almost the whole point. So
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy what a fear of messing up will stop people doing. You know, I've had this a few times, but we've had it here. You know, people saying I can't join the gym because I'm not fit enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
You know, that's like saying I can't have driving lessons until I learn to drive, or I can't see the doctor until I'm not sick anymore. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
And it's just because you don't want to be seen, or people don't want to be seen as not having everything together and having it all perfect. So yeah, that's something that we're contending with. It's something we have to think about a lot with the content that we put out for you guys, and it's something we have to instill in the people we train. That okay, you might have a workout that's not great, you might have a habit that's not very good, but how can you go one step better? What actual actionable thing can you do to get one step closer towards where you want to be, one step further away from where you were? So that's how this conversation is going to go, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
So on that theme then of progression, not perfection, can you think of like any sort of specific examples? I know we just gave a few there. Maybe let's talk about a training focus, something that you've seen coaching people in here where you'd expect, or they'd expect like a perfect result or a perfect outcome, and perhaps a way that you could look at more of a progressive stance rather than like a perfection stance.
Yeah, well, I think people always want to get, I think you're not, every rep, I'd say reps really for me, like every rep in the gym is not going to be perfect. Some of them it's like be fatigued, might be a bit ugly, and but then I've seen people let that beat them down, the fact that they didn't get it perfect, but then you can't every time, like, you're gonna fatigue. So it's people just setting an unrealistic goal for yourself is just always common.
Yeah, so we're talking literally just a rep by rep basis here,
exactly,
aren't we?
Yeah.
You know, the goal is always to try and get good reps.
Yeah.
But you know, not every rep is perfect. Otherwise, you know, you wouldn't need to practice.
100%. Yeah.
Like, you know, if you could just do perfect reps every time. You know, we've been training for years. You know, I started training when I was 12. I'm nearly 22. You've been training since you were 8, and we're talking like weightlifting.
Yeah.
So even now, I mess up almost every set.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's never a perfect rep.
No.
But the like you say, the problem is when you let falling short of perfection get to you.
Yeah. It's when you let. It's a mindset. It's when you let that hold you back. You're gonna be even further away from getting to that perfection, because you're just gonna let that ruin the rest of the workout, maybe because you feel down, because you're upset about it.
Yep.
So don't let it ruin the chance you've got to progress further.
Yeah. We call it the well, we don't call it, but it's known as the screw it effect, isn't it? It's oh well, this didn't go very well. Oh, screw it,
forget it.
I'm just gonna, you know, it didn't work, so I'm just gonna let everything else crumble.
Throw it away.
Because you know, I fell short of that perfect goal. So another sort of thing I wanted to, I don't know if I've even shared this with you, but I've been looking into habits a lot because of the Start Strong challenge that we run every year. And one of the rules that James Clear, who he literally wrote the book on habits, he talks about the 1% rule. And it shows you like a graph of somebody getting 1%. If you got 1% better every day, the curve on the graph sort of goes exponentially great.
Yeah.
Whereas if you get 1% worse every day, there's not an exponential drop off.
No.
So like getting 1% worse is a slow deterioration over time. Whereas if you can just get 1% better, that's not perfection.
No.
But over time, an extra 1% leads to a huge increase in total output.
Yeah.
I think, have you got any thoughts on that?
I think like if you're saying 1% better every day, by a year, you're 365% better. So
yeah. Yeah,
so
and
that's huge.
It's even you know, the compound interest on that is even greater.
Yeah.
Than that. So it is a massive jump in improvement, and that is really the goal of this segment. I think we hopefully have got that meaning across quite well.
Yeah.
We're going to start in the effort of progression. We're going to start nice and small. That's all we needed for today.
Yeah.
We're getting out what we're talking about. It's a big ethos and message in our gym, and it's something we talk about an awful lot with clients, because we're coaches. You know, we're trying to get you from A to B. We're not trying to tell you how to just get to B. No. You know, there's a process involved, and that involves a lot of progression, and it definitely does not involve reaching perfection.
No.
So our goal is to progress this segment, to get better at it, to get more comfortable on camera, to you know, improve what we do and the content that we deliver. And it starts with getting that message across. So
and this first video
so I think that's for me, that's all I wanted to get across in today's video.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep, same for you.
Perfect.
Cool, awesome. So next one's coming up. We're going to try and take this topic by topic. We'll talk about lots of different things. If you guys want us to speak about anything in particular, then it's just a case of reaching out to us. I'm guessing you're watching this on either YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. So just reach out to us on any platform that you see fit, and we will continue to keep providing this content to you and give you actionable steps so that you can progress, hence Progression Podcast.
Brilliant.